Yeah, good day everyone. I actually woke up early this morning. As you can see, I still look a bit sluggish or tired in my face, but I got up this morning from a dream, concerning Russia, and to be honest, the dream was quite. Hold on, realize the desk is shaking. I realized that the dream was actually quite disturbing, right? And you know, I, what can I say? What's the Lord's will has to be done. We don't have any control over stopping it or not. We just have to pray. We have to seriously pray for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine and even all over the world now, because what's happening now is the fulfillment of scriptures, right? The beast is strengthening himself, and the nations are pledging allegiance to it already. But with that being said, I will explain to you. I'll actually read down what I wrote in a dream and what I saw in it, what the Lord revealed to me. So basically, I that I was over a business place nearby where I was working temporarily for work experience training, and it was late in the evening, around probably I played 7 to 8 p.m. But considering the time that it was later in the dream, possibly it was around 9 p.m. So I was working there. It could be a future instance, it doesn't matter, but it was around 9 p.m. Then the secretary that works there, right, the female, she was there in her usual position at the front desk, and some other of my male colleagues, they were at the side, beside me, and they were looking at some files, doing something like ready to actually um get some information upon a client so they can get back in contact with her. So after that, I saw now the manager of the department. She was in the meeting room, right, and she was watching the whole situation with Russia and Ukraine on her laptop. How I know that? Because the next minute, right after I saw her, shortly after, she just shouted, "Russia just sent missiles to the west." Or Russia just sent or launched their missiles to the west. That's what she said. Now, I wrote down here, then everyone started running to see the video that she was getting this from. And what we decided to do after, we decided to form a prayer circle, because where I am, we're located, the Caribbean, Jamaica is in the Central American region, right? So we would get affected from that, right? And we are going to get affected from that, But the Lord is our provider. Jehovah Jireh is our provider, so we don't need to fear. So form the prayer circle, and while we're praying, what I remembered is that I saw, it's like I could see from Russia where the missiles were, and when each of them were blasting up, they were just blasting up, right? And when I saw them go, I saw the time 11:11. I don't know if it was 11:11 p.m. or 11:11 a.m., but it was just 11:11, 1111, like 11 o'clock and 11. That's what I saw, but I don't know if it was in the night or in the morning. So, anyways, when I saw that, I remembered my mother. She was actually still supposed to be home, right? And I remember that I was concerned for her, and I was saying, I have to go back over there to her because, I can't let her be alone right now by herself, especially at a time like this, I have to be there to comfort her, to strengthen her, and to pray with her as well, and, my other family. Can't just be here, even though I appreciate the people there, I can't just be there, and neglect my mother and neglect my people that I'm with over here. So, what I did, I actually was beginning to turn around, like to leave the prayer circle. I didn't even tell them I was going away. I don't know why. I'm not disrespectful like that in person. I just decided to um to take my hands to just leave, like to exit. But as soon as I turned, it was like I was already in my house. I was already in this house, and I was looking for her in there, but I couldn't find her. Right? I didn't see her. I didn't see where she was. So I don't know what that meant. But onwards from that now, I realized that the missiles, I was seeing where the missiles were throughout the dream. The Lord was showing me the directions, the place where they were being navigated. I saw they were in outer space. They were outside of the Earth's orbit. And when they reached their peak now, they turned. Like when you watch those movies, when you watch those sci-fi movies and those galactic space movies, when they're sending their missiles there or whatever, the nukes, that it has a way of actually turning once it reaches its peak. All that force, that velocity just is now finished. It now has a way of turning to the direction where you get the point. So it turned over to the place of where the west region was, the western hemisphere and the Central Americas. That's where it turned and aimed to. I saw it was aiming at, it was about 2 or 3 missiles aiming to the west and the Central Americas. So that was that part of the dream. And the next part now, because I also did get this other dream, but I'm still baffled because it's as if the language here that I saw, it was in another language. So in this dream, I basically saw the east divided by the west, and I saw the west like on top and the east below. But the east, the landmass for the east, it was more bulky, or it was more interconnected than it is now. Every part was in Eurasia, in Eastern Europe. It was as if it was as if the east made a way. The government made a way to actually connect those archipelagos, there are any there, those islands, dispersed, and they seem connected. So the east was its own frontier, and the west was its own frontier. And I saw 2 men, a man below the east, which was Putin, and a man above the east. I don't know, above the west. I don't know if it was Biden. I'm not going to add there, add to that, But what I saw was in the middle, like separating the lands, separating those 2 frontiers. I saw these words in this language. I don't know if it was English, but it says X the world. X the world. I don't know what that means. If I don't know if that's English, but what I understand from it is like saying annex the world. Not just annex a border, annex this piece of the country, annex this part of the province. It's like in the dream I was getting annex the world, separate the world. And then that part of the east below the west, the man that was underneath it was Putin, and that everything was just red in his border. And I realized that his face had 3 transitions, where his first face was like Putin's face, it looked normal. Then the second transition of his face, it is similar to how Terminator looked when like the surface of his skin was stripped off due to the fights that he was getting into, and he was just seeing his ugly teeth and the steel and the dark ugly eyes. It was like that was the second transition. Like you're starting to see his face exposed, and then the third transition now, you literally saw a demon. It was like a demon. So it was like three transitions of his face, you know. And I don't know what that meant, but you know, all I saw was in the middle X the world. X the world. And then I saw Putin, you know, underneath the east, you know, and he had three transition where at the end, the face at the end, this is just coming to my mind. It was as if it was a demon and it was catching on fire. It was like a skeleton and it was catching on fire. So yeah, I don't know if that means destruction or what, but one thing I know, just have to keep praying, you know, and interceding for our brothers and sisters now. And I'll definitely warn people right now. I encourage you to stock up on food. Um, Start stocking up on food from now because food prices are going to increase. Gas is going to increase. Stock up on gas. You know, get gas bottles. Stock up on non-perishable foods, certain tin foods, certain canisters, certain um things that will last you a long period of time. Stock up on these things, you know, because you know we can't just be out here casual and you know bouncing around like business as usual because we don't know how actually short the time is, you know.
Recently had a dream a few days ago, and it's a consistent dream I've been having. When I mean consistent is this, I've been having this type of dream for a while now. For a while now, the Lord has been showing me Russia, and you know, He has been showing me a lot of the things that is happening, like Russia is going to attack America. The Lord has been showing me that and revealing a lot of things to me. This dream I had on June the 13th. In the dream, I was just there. Alright, let me tell you how the dream started. Before the Lord woke me up about 2 o'clock, and you know, I had my normal routine. I went to use the restroom. I came back and I wanted to pray. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I was so tired. I was so tired. So I just went back to bed, but I was laying and praying in the spirit. I was just praying in tongues and till I fell back asleep. And I found myself in this dream or vision. In the dream, I know that I was somewhere in the US. You know, I felt like I was in either New York, Los Angeles. I don't know where I was, but I was in the US. And how I felt in the dream, it felt more like New York. And I was just watching. It was a peaceful day. I could see all, you know, skyrise building, people going about their normal business. Everybody was just doing their own business. You know, everybody was doing their own business. And then when all of a sudden I saw three Russian fighter planes. Now these three planes were actually World War II fighter planes. These fighter planes were what the Red Army used in World War II, and I could see like a single star on the plane. You know, the planes that you see in the World War II movies, and they just started shooting. Interestingly, they were just shooting down buildings. They were shooting down sky-rise buildings. Like it was just unbelievable. Like people were running for their lives. People were scattering for their lives, but they were just shooting on buildings. And I'm like, in the moment, I'm thinking, why are they shooting buildings? People were running for their lives, like running. It was crazy. And while they were shooting on buildings, I could see a lot of different scenes. I saw there's this man of God that does a program called a Prophecy Club, and he's always warning people. But in the dream, there was no communication coming out of the government. There was no police nowhere to be found. Like everybody was wondering what's happening, and is nobody. You weren't hearing from the government. You weren't hearing any radio communication, and they're just shooting on the buildings. And I heard this man of God. I think he was on the a radio. He was on a communication channel. I didn't even know if it was a radio or not, but a communication channel. And he was saying, he was directing people, like he was saying, if you're in this area, there's a safe place. He was directing people to a lot of safe place. Like he was just directing people all over the US to a lot of safe place. And then he kept saying on the radio, is that what when you're watching those movies and you hear the communication coming out, but it's kind of muffled, like he's saying, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. The fall, and he keeps repeating that, but you could tell that the communication wasn't so strong. But you could hear what he's saying. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution. This fall of America will start with an internal revolution. Then the scene shifted and it got very dark. And where the buildings that were shot down, these fighter planes or jets, they took out the buildings, like literally took out the buildings. Then it was like pandemonium, like people were separated, people were scattered, and then there was water up on the land to my knees. I was walking in the water and looking around and seeing, when they're about to use a construction site and they literally clear the area, where the buildings were, is almost as if somebody used a wrecking ball to destroy the buildings. The area, there was a great area cleared. There was water up on the land up to my knees. And everybody was wondering, what's happening, because we're not hearing from the government. There's no police, no military, nothing was present at all. Then the scene shifted and I could see different places over America. So there were some places that had no idea what was happening. No, they had no idea what was happening. And I'm like, whoa. And other persons were just going about their normal life and business, because where we were, they didn't even know what was taking place there. And I could see different places over the world as well, that people they weren't experiencing what was being experienced in New York. And I woke up out of the dream, or I came out of the vision, and I was like, whoa. It's like one of those moments when you're saying, whoa, I'm awake, finally. But at the moment in the vision, I didn't realize it was a dream or a vision. It felt so real, like, we just got attacked. And before that, the Lord gave me a dream earlier in probably 2020, when the old Black Lives Matter marching and stuff were happening. And I saw like a meeting with all these heads of states. I don't know which country they're from, but I remember seeing in the meeting the Russian president and the Chinese president. And they were laughing, they were looking at America and they were laughing at what was taking place in America. And they were having some negotiation as who would go first to attack America, basically. And then Russia won. I don't know what they were doing, but Russia won. It's like a toss or something. Russia won. So when Russia won, the Chinese president, he was looking and he smirked, but he wasn't happy about it. He wasn't happy that Russia won the toss, but it was almost as if this Chinese president, he was not with Russia. Like even though it seemed as if he was with them, he wasn't with them, but he was watching everybody else around the room. And then I woke up, and God has given me many other dreams with Russia and the plans they have. So what I can say, saints, is that we really need to pray. We really need to pray. One thing I did make of the dream was when I saw no, not two, three World War II planes. I'm saying, I don't know if God is trying to say, World War III is about to start or anything like that. But I'm just delivering the dream and I'm saying, saints, people, let us pray because God has been warning people